This is kind of cool. It's the first episode of the Decoded Podcast Summer School Edition, if you want to call it that.
Summer school's messy, eh?
Summer school's majorly messy.
I'm thinking about that as this morning. So my spouse is heading in for a few days. She's stepping into the administration zone. So this is that what's that mythical week that I think a lot of instructors wonder about, like, what do principals do? It's a bit like, you ever seen those cartoons where the fridge door closes and then all the fruits and vegetables and the milk, and they have a party, right? And you always wonder what goes on when you close the fridge. I imagine it's a little bit like this. Like, administrators kind of show up, they take care of their paperwork. They're probably just a little bit more dressed down. You know, the scheduling of it is a little bit more loose. You might have a couple appointments. Maybe they're doing staffing, all these kind of little bits that happen when all the other staff are not in, or it's summer school staff, whoever's kind of still checking in. Before I left, I was at my new school last Thursday morning, and I asked the head if the head of the department, so special education department, just kind of checking it because it was so busy, so many little pieces happening. And I asked, are you going to be coming in next week? And the look is perfect. And you do it way better than me, but the look was a little bit like this. I'm going to see if I can do it. So I catch her attention. I said, so you're going to be in next week? And the look is just like this. And I know, without her even saying the words, like, she's not coming in. And then someone else kind of jumps in and said, yeah, we'll be in like in the last few weeks of August to kind of get stuff set up. So where do we start with that? Summer school is messy. This morning I'm helping Karen just put stuff into the van so that she can take it to put it in her new office. And I'm thinking about, because I asked her, how long do you think you're going to be there today? She goes, I'm not sure. We got meetings. We're going to see. Maybe it'll be a short day. Maybe it'll be a regular day. But it's that was the beginning as I started to think about summer, being a teacher in the summer, the formlessness of it can be a little rattling. I think that's why maybe some, beyond the financial thing, I think that might be why some teachers continue and do summer school. It's a funny thing. I wonder if there's a bit of a mindset there where you want to keep doing what you've gotten used to doing, which might mean for high school, it's, you could do summer school in a full month, or you could do it just for 2 weeks. It depends on what's being offered. Sometimes the civics and careers credit you can get, like 2 years ago, I did half of it. So I didn't do the civics part. I just jumped in the second part of July and I was teaching the careers, and that kind of worked out for our family life. But I wonder how many individuals do summer school just because they I would have said this, I'm already in motion. I might as well teach for one more month and I'll take my August and just kind of escape. So the messiness of summer school, summer and including school.
Well, dare I say that when your wife goes to her admin meetings, or this week, whatever you want to call this week for admin, it's funny because it's funny that she can't nail down, how long she's going to be or when she's going to be back. Right. Plus, she's a rookie. Yeah. So she's just going with the flow, I would assume and imagine. It's funny that you say that summer school is messy because I'm going in to visit my new school today. Oh. And they have summer school happening starting today. So not only am I going to be in the building like in July, but it's going to be in full motion, as much motion as it can be. So I don't know what to think of that. I don't know about visiting. It's kind of a weird time. So you gave us an example of like you went into your new school and you asked if your department head was going to be in. She gave you the look. Well, I'm going in today with the new admin of the building. So when we were negotiating last week when we could go in, I said, hey, you want to go in on Monday? And he politely told me Monday's a holiday, meaning he's not going in. And he said, I still don't have keys. So even the new boss he can't get in on his own. He needs to get in on a day that there's something happening. So then he says to me, let's go Tuesday because I'll be able to get in because the summer school principals will be in. So here are the layers for me. I'm going in today. I'm probably not even allowed in, but I'm allowed with like he's the principal. So if he wants to bring me in, he can. So that makes me a little nervous. The other thing that makes me nervous is there's going to be teachers in the building teaching. I don't know why that. I think that's because some of them that work there during the year have decided to stay for summer school. So that kind of, I don't know, I feel uneasy about that a little bit. And then the principal who's leaving might be there getting things settled, like to move. And then the vice principal and the principal of summer school will be there. And there's going to be an administrative assistant that probably works there for this week. And there might be one for summer school. I don't know. So I'm feeling a little anxious. I was hoping to get into a building that would be empty, but no, I'm going into a building that's going to be full of kids and staff during summer school, which will be interesting to see. But I'm kind of excited to get in and check out the building because I've never been inside this building before. Yeah.
There's a funny bit in there about being considered the outsider. And it's you realize so when I went over to the new place, so it's Tommy Douglas Secondary School. So when I went in, you have that motivation to connect. You want to sort of reach out, see something kind of familiar, yet at the same time you're recognizing you don't have roots yet. I'm fortunate the school that I'm going to, there's a large number of expats from my previous school. So the school that I'm going to is in next year's its 5th year being open. So it's a fairly new high school. Actually, I guess that would be considered still a very new high school. So they're just in their, not even made it to their teenage years yet. When that school opened, 6 or 7 instructors from my high school went there. They applied and got jobs there as a brand new school. So, excuse me, when I arrived there, I saw some of them, which was kind of cool. But that wasn't the lag time on the front end. The front end was I was kind of walking the halls. You saw all the noticing. Oh, so this is where their co-op department is. Oh, okay. So this is how the parking works. Oh, that's the bathroom. Wait, I need a key for the bathroom. So all these sort of like little fresh pieces that it's all without gravity. Like it just kind of floating around. Reminds me of like the lava lamp. You ever stared at a lava lamp for any period of time? Can you remember? Do you actually understand the physics of it? Me neither. I really don't. I think it has something to do with different densities of liquids being heated at different rates. I'm imagining like a cloud system, the water cycle. So the liquid kind of gets heated up, it floats to the top, and then it cools down and starts to fall. That's what I imagine. That's how I feel. That's what I felt on Thursday, like the lava lamp. I had these moments where I got kind of heated up and I kind of figured out, oh, okay, I know that person. And then they would kind of duck into a room. I'm like, okay. And then they would sort of say something. I'd hear a conversation start. Okay, so all the new, and I think they're going to say teachers, and then they kind of add in textbooks. So you're constantly on edge, listening for the cues that would remind you you're in the right place, and kind of give you that on-ramp of, hey, welcome. It's good to see you. It's so wonderful to have you in our new school. Maybe that'll happen in September. But it wasn't that moment on the Thursday. So that Thursday in the morning, they call it within our board. That's when it's the highs. And then the Friday is the goodbyes. So a lot of the schools on the Fridays were having some sort of a luncheon, and they'd be people retiring or people transferring out. The Thursday morning is for the highs. So I was a part of a cohort of, I think, 15 new instructors coming into this school. And it very much was like an orientation session. And I guess there was something in me that wanted a more immediate and deep connection, but I think it's unfounded. I think that was just sort of I've been teaching for X number of years, sort of like unfounded expectation, like it should be more. Because I got to say, it was absolutely fine. My department head was lovely. We had good technical conversation. We cracked a few jokes. Like that was completely about. She stood with me and kind of like chatted. Like she sort of stayed with me for a little bit. My two colleagues that I'll be learning from, the two other teachers in the ASD program that I'm working, they were with me, but then they weren't. They were off visiting their own peeps, saying hellos, doing their sort of highs and buys. They had snacks. We had some icebreaker games, which I don't normally embrace, but I got to tell you, the whole school was embracing them. So I'm like, all right, when in Rome, I'm going to come in and start doing these things too. But I think I had that lava lamp kind of thing going on. Like I didn't really understand the physics. I didn't, and we can say culture, but I really didn't understand what I was supposed to do next. And I wasn't savvy enough to pick up on the cues of who I should be paying attention to. So I felt really distracted. And I'm just going to go grab another muffin. Like I would go over to the snack table, hoping that you'd sort of meet someone and just spark up a conversation. Hey, who are you? Who are you? The small chat. Yeah. Lava lamp. That's what it was like. And not really getting the physics. It'll come, but that's what that felt like.
I like that, the lava lamp. It's funny because as you're explaining that, I feel that. I'm feeling it too, right? Like it's the same thing as well. I know people in this new building, and it's gonna feel like, oh, there goes so and so. Oh, they're gone, and they're back and they're gone. And it's like I can't remember a time where I've been to a school where I know that many people. It's just weird. There's so many people I've run into along the way that work at this school now. ESL teachers, primary teachers, planning time teachers, administration. Like it's interesting for sure. But the one constant of going back and forth about knowing, not knowing, being an experienced teacher, the one constant is I am being dropped into a new environment, into a new culture. And that for me, that's my main level of this building that I'm trying to create. The ground floor is I'm coming in and it's all new. I've seen, if you want to use the building analogy, I've seen the building before. I know people who work in the building, but I've never actually been in it. And I don't know how people do things within that building. I just don't know. And like you, when in Rome, it's that year. It's a year for me of being open to new things and playing with that feeling of resistance inside, because I know I'm going to bump up against it.
I'm already there.
Okay. I'm going to bump up, and maybe you're there because you've been in the building. Maybe today when I walk in and I see, it's interesting too. Like think about just the layout of a school. I'm going from a school that had an extension put on it, so it's got relatively new rooms in it, to a school that's been around forever, but also has had renovations. But I've never been in it. So my buddy texted me a photo. This is the best. My buddy texted me a photo of my classroom. And my wife's like, yeah, that's what I was talking to you about, the old school wooden doors. And she's talking about like the character that the building has. But she's like, but there's something about it that's really beautiful, really new. So it's new meets old. And right from the classroom door, I can tell, oh, wow, I'm getting like a classic type classroom. Really big room, a wall of windows, like shelving that's been there forever. It's one of these things, right? I can feel the resistance. I've not even been in the building. I can feel the resistance. When I get into the building, I'm going to feel the resistance. Where are the bathrooms for staff? Where's the staff room? Where's the office? All of this is going to be fresh and new. And it's going to hit me upside the head when I have to move in, because my basement now has been taken over by all my stuff. My basement it's hilarious. You walk in the basement, one corner's Rolland, then there's another corner that's Rolland. The other two corners, one's just open and the other one doesn't really exist because there's a hallway, so there's no corner. But it's like my whole teaching life is down there, and I can't wait to get it out. But getting it out means, I'll tell you what it means. It's going to mean a half a day of moving, and I'm going to be drenched and exhausted by the end of it. And that, like, so you know, the resistance is like, well, there goes half a day. Half a day is a big deal when you're in a new school and you're setting up your room. And remember, I'm elementary. I got bulletin boards, right? I'm going to be primary again. So I should do something, in my opinion, to create like an inviting visual for the first week of school. And let's layer that with, I don't consider myself a creative person. I'm not the raw primary teacher. That's never been who I am. And it took me years to get over that. So it's the layers. At the school that I just left, people know how I roll. The kids know how I am. The parents know how I am. So I still will have something for you on the first day to welcome you, but it's not going to look like the grade 1 teacher down the hall. And I was junior, so I could use that as an excuse. I'm not primary anymore. I'm primary again. So I'm just kind of trying to share all the things that are rubbing up against me, all these layers in this building that I'm creating as I go to my new school and I teach. Now, when I say all that, the excitement of going there and the excitement of knowing some of the people there and the excitement of teaching primary again, all of that outweighs the things that I just said to you that are not negative, but that cause discomfort, that cause me to want to run the other way. So the stuff leading me there is obviously much greater than the stuff that is bumping up against me.
It's the, you made me think a lot of different things. The whole idea that I wonder about how much time does it actually take for the, so we leave at the end of the school year, you pack a bunch of stuff up, you sort of might have your spot in your house, as you sort of mentioned. You know, my house is a complete mess. But what is interesting is that I had a conversation with my spouse about, let's try and get everything organized right away. Let's not leave it just sitting out around us for the whole summer. You know, do you have your kitchen table island? Does that ever sort of get, you know, between books that are coming home or a stack of papers, the bag of work, it might be one of the places that gets just plunked down. The summertime can be problematic, right? Because you don't want to leave it by the front door. So maybe it makes it from the front door into your dining room and it just sits there, or into this office space that you're in right now. Maybe you've got this locked down, like don't leave stuff near the front door, pack it all away. We don't really have that locked down well. So we had some conversations about, since we were both in transition, said, let's get the dump run stuff ready, the stuff that we know we're going to get rid of, leave stuff at school to get recycled. And let's get the shelving kind of in a space where we can kind of live in the basement or live in our spaces, not constantly look at the stuff. And it's funny, we started a little bit early. And I think for both of us, it gave us a clearer sense of distance between the end of the school year. I think you and I talked about this. You know, we have a very clear delineation between the end and the next start. Like there actually feels like there's a little bit of a gap space there. And, you know, for individuals, I think that are going into summer school, you know, they have 3 or 4 days at the end and then they're right back into teaching again. And I always wonder about what is the right amount of time to, on one hand, you could say to give you enough relaxation so that you feel like you've kind of packed away your teacher side as well. Like if you need that distance, what's the right amount of time for different people? I know for me, I'm not the guy that's like, just like, yeah, weekend, and you feel like you're just escaping from the work week. But I do have friends that is for them. They really are creeping up to Friday and they're ready. They're ready for the weekend and they need maximum distance from Friday to Monday in order to sort of gain that balance. What I love about what you mentioned, though, kind of connected to that, is how do you, whether you want to or not, but is it worthwhile to invest in some reflection time as well in that space? Because right now it feels like you're in that space and you're noticing parts of yourself that you might not get to when you're in full-on teacher mode. When you've got your room organized, when you've got, you know where the bathroom is, or or you even know who your next door neighbor is in the next class over. So if you had some sort of an emergency, you know, you feel like you could communicate effectively. So I think there's some value in this kind of weird free falling kind of a moment, because it on one hand it can be stressful. I acknowledge that it can be stressful. It can be create some anxiety. It can feel like you're sort of without the necessary resources. But there's also some clarity there where, you know, if you can kind of, I've said to my spouse before, I said, you know, I think fear and excitement can feel pretty similar in the body. And it depends on how you frame it and what you cling to. Like the mindset can drive that a long way. And in this moment of, am I a teacher or not a teacher? Is this my school or is it not my school? Sometimes you can see things that you don't clearly see when you're just head down pushing through the school year. So, you know, I would love to be able to get in a couple times to my school. I don't know at what point it's going to happen. Maybe next week I'll drop in and just kind of like lock what the room looks like in mind. Just, you know, you got the photo ahead of time. I was in there, but they were in the process of cleaning it out. I know I owe some money. I forgot to pay for my hoodie, which is, I'm feeling like totally, I had a check in my pocket and I just didn't get into the budget secretary to hand it in. So I know I got business to take care of. But I'm also just in that space of, do I expect, here's my tension. I knew that I was in a process of change this school year. I knew I was going to look for something. So I've had a school year to sort of get my mind right. It's funny to me how even though I had my mind right, thinking about the change I wanted to make, manifesting it feels really different than what the planning for it did. I don't know if I know myself in this moment. I don't know if, actually, I will say I don't know myself in this moment. I'm having a lot of moments of how do I rebuild to where I was when I left my previous position? And my tension comes out of, do I want to? Do I want to be that same guy? Do I want to be in this new school the way I was in the old school? And I'm wrestling with that right now. I find a lot of my reflective space, and I got work to do. Like I'm going to be signing up for a course probably today or tomorrow. I think I'm going to go to something. We have something called Great Beginnings, which is a kind of an on-ramp to the school year. And there's a whole thing in there for elementary teachers. And I'm probably going to sign up for it because a lot of the sort of setting up of the class and the sort of discussions around classroom management and how you visually sort of map out a room, like a lot of that stuff that I've had no experience with are things that are essential to my planning moving forward with the new program that I'm in. So I'm trying to just grab at resources that I think are going to spark up the next version of me, even though I have no clue what that would be yet. So that's my sort of really messy on-ramp to my summer school mindset and the whole lava lamp thing. The whole lava lamp thing of being in the school and not knowing what to do is totally playing out in my household. Like I sit here and I feel like there's a real, to the degree, like I probably wouldn't be able to sit in your room space right now because, dude, I kind of need all this crappy little, like all my garbage that's on the wall just so I can not feel completely alien from what is my normal kind of like thinking space. I think I'd be a lot more rattled. At least me knowing where my pens and pencils are, and I have my, you know, my little kitschy things that I have, my knickknacks that make me feel kind of balanced. I'm not quite at that. I'm not quite at that point where I can just go totally minimalist and just go with the flow. I'm not there.
I like what you said about this time of reflection because again, it resonates with me because when the school year starts and I actually have kids in front of me that I'm responsible for every day, the stuff I'm talking to you about goes away. It has to go away. I just start working and then I just start solving problems as they come. Now, the person next door is supposed to be, I don't know, because things keep shifting. The last I heard, the person next door is my buddy named Chris, and I've worked with Chris at 2 other schools. So I'm gonna be leaning a little bit on Chris, but not the same way I leaned on Chris the last time I worked with him. So I worked with Chris I've been at the school I was at for 3 years. So 3 years ago, I worked with Chris for 2 years, but we weren't partners because he was in junior, I was in primary, and he was across the school. So the school we worked at, People joke around and call it Hogwarts because it's so old. It's got so many levels and stuff, and so many different sections. I would go to the other side of Hogwarts to visit Chris every now and again, and it would literally take a whole recess because I'd have to walk over to the other side of his school, climb up all his stairs, sit in his room until he got back from the bathroom or whatever, chat with him, and then when the first bell rings, I got to go down all those stairs and get back to the other side to pick up my kids. So it was literally like a 15-minute experience. So it wasn't happening often. When it did, you knew it was special because I was taking 15 minutes out of my life to talk to him for 3 or 4 or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna be leaning on him, but in a different way. Because I'm kind of excited for this. I'm feeling a different type of excitement for this new school adventure. I'm older. I like to think I'm a little bit wiser. The problem, I'm calling it a problem, is that I also feel like my values have shifted over the last 3 years. I'm a different person right now than I was last summer. And you've known a little bit about my growth as a person because you've heard about it just from like being my friend. So things are different for me. I'm in a different space, and I'm layering that with another space. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be leaning on him differently, but knowing he's right next door is a good thing because I already have a connection with Chris, right? So that's going to help me roll into this a little bit more. But I also need to step out of my comfort zone, and I need to meet the new people, right? Like I can't just be, because I know how I am. I want to spend my recesses and my lunch working because that work that happens at school doesn't happen at home. So like I need to shift a little bit so that I can meet people and let them kind of get a feel for me. And then if I need to go back to that, okay, barricade yourself and get your work done, I'll go to that. But there needs to be some flex room there. That makes me nervous, right? Because my operating system is going to change. And you and I talked about this a little bit at the end of the last podcast, and then back and forth via text on that video that we watched. But I know my operating system needs to change. My operating system's already changing now in the summer. It's only been this funny thing. It's only been a few days since school has ended, but I'm already working on that shift. I'm already working on changing some habits and establishing new ones. I'm not in the mode yet of thinking about my school year that starts in September, right? Because normally my operating system is right now what I'd be working on are IEPs. I'd be looking at IEPs of students that will be coming into my room starting in September. I don't know who's coming into my room starting in September. And I'm teaching grade 2 and 3. So the likelihood of me having a whack of IEPs is low because it's primary, but you never know. It's possible. So already my habit has to change because I can't do what I've done. And I'm not crazy enough. I wasn't crazy enough to say to the people I know at my new school, get me a class list. I wanted to, and I said, no, I'm not. Don't do it. You're not doing it. Don't do it. And I didn't do it. So, having said all that, I know I want to change my operating system. I'm going into my new school today, so I will get a feel for the building. And I will see whatever it is they let me see. I need to honor my new principal's time, right? Because I don't want to be leaning on him either the whole time. Plus, he's new admin. He needs to figure this place out too. So he's got some stuff on his plate. The VP I know very well, but she's gone for the month of July. And I've been leaning on her a lot. I've been sending her lots of messages like, hey, can you tell me this? Can you answer this? Can you show me that? And she's been great at dealing with my nonsense. So having said all that, it's kind of neat that you and I can talk about this at the 2 different levels, right? Like it's kind of neat to hear you say, you'll probably try to get in next week. You stole a hoodie, so you need to pay for it. You got to get in, make sure you pay for it. I'm a little bit pumped about the spirit wear at my school. I've heard that they have hats, they have T-shirts. Like, take my money, right? Give me the gear, because I want to be part of the community. I think it's rad that they've got hats. I know one school had toques. I bought one. And then a former admin from that school saw me one day in the winter wearing the toque, and he's like, "Where'd you get that?" And I told him, and he's like, "When I was there for years, they never had toques. Now they got toques." He's trying to buy it off me. I'm like, hell no, you're not getting my toque. So I'm looking forward to that stuff, right? Like I'm looking forward to being immersed. And I know the things that make me nervous will iron themselves out. And I don't want to establish habits that are going to feed the negative. It's this video that we saw. Thank God that we saw it, because it's really stoking my fire in a positive way. And it's almost like my hand. Now, I'm not a hugger, so I got to put that out there. I'm not a hugger, but my hands are out there, and I'm ready to embrace my fear. Come on in. Come on in. You can, each one come, line up orderly, and let me give you a nice little cuddle. And then Chris, I was about to drop a bad word, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to embrace.
Good self-rec. Good self-rec.
I'm going to embrace the fear, wish them well, and send them on their way. And I don't know how else I can say that in a PG-13 kind of way. So I'm going to stop and let you jump in there.
I would just say that for this, maybe every episode for summer school, if you make it to posting it, include the YouTube link for that guy talking. Like, just, there's the necessary medicine. If anybody is listening, right? Because part of it is there's a certain mantra nature to it, and that whole thing that you're saying, you know, kind of embrace it, then let it go, embrace it, then let it go. Like, that's very meditative. And I've mentioned that to other people when they're sort of when they're trying to sort of observe themselves. And that's one of those balance pieces where, how can you get to a place where you recognize that your thoughts are not you? And that's a little bit that's level 1.0, I think, to recognize that. You watch this video and you start to realize that unless you do recognize that your thoughts don't have to be you, they will become you. Because that's the other parts of the video, is like, your thoughts manifest on the body. Your body doesn't know the difference. So it's a neat space between meditation and actual like biology, where they meet. And that video, if anyone checks in as a little Easter egg, yet we're telling them right up front, that video, I think, would be really valuable to listen to anybody who's in transition. I think that's what stuck with me. And you know, there was somebody else that chimed in and said that they've been listening into our podcast about transition. You know, I think I'm speaking right to you out there. I won't mention who it was, but basically the person reached out and said, I've been listening to you talk about transition. It's been kind of inspirational. Well, part of besides the therapy that you and I do for each other, it's also, we have had a year heavily informed by several people within education, not in education, that have kind of like spoken to our mindset. And, you know, we've dropped, Rogan has been mentioned before, Goggins has been mentioned before. I forget this dude's name that we're talking about right now, this psychologist. But we've played with some of these theories to help our minds prep ourselves for our day. And I think there's been a little bit of, I think in a lot of ways, how some individuals will constantly just send, you know, little emoticons or maybe a gift to each other. I think yours and my year has been, here's another really cool reinforcer for our positive mindset. Like, it's been part of our support system through this past year. And yeah, maybe somebody will find some value in checking out that video if they're trying to. It doesn't ensure that you're going to make change, but it's a nice little pause to say, if you rest here for a moment and you really observe your own thinking, you're going to know what you don't like. You're going to know what you do like. And then you still have a decision to make on the other side. So I dig it. I dig it.
Right on, Chris. Well, I just heard the bell ring. Summer School episode 1, I think, is over for this week, and it's time for everybody to go and play or go swimming or whatever people do in the summer.
Let's go do snack recess. I'm going to start with snack recess.
That's a good one. Recess is good with a snack.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you jumping in a little earlier than we normally do this, because I'm taking off from some vacation. So I was like, you know what? The room is empty. It's ready for people to come in and do what they're going to do to it, which meant that I had to take apart. I'm going to have to take apart this computer system, which really stinks because this is my gateway to you and Decoded. It's also my gateway to Voice Ed Radio, where I guess I'm hosting a show weekly.
Details? Drop details? Anything?
I can tell you that last week, Stephen Hurley, I want to call him the godfather of Voice Ed, but he's not. He's the father of Voice Ed. He spent an hour and a half with me trying to calibrate my computer and get the right things going to make it work. So big thumbs up to Hurley for doing that, because I took like a chunk of time out of his life. But I don't even know if I can call it a show. I'm going to be on the air for like 30 to 60 minutes, and I've titled the project, the experiment, Barba Grande, Big Beard. And
I love it.
It's just going to be about me talking about EDU and the things that are getting to me and not getting to me, and just kind of discussing it. I know that I've had some things on my mind, like transitioning to a new school is a big one, obviously, because I'm actually living it. So I'd like to talk about it. But there's some other stuff too, like, anyway, that's all I got for you at the moment. I don't know if it's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing. And I guess as we continue through summer school, I can tell you a little bit about my experience jumping in on the radio and talking about EDU my way, my style, right? So it's like I'm cooking something up, and Hurley's okay with me serving it to whoever listens to Voice Ed Radio at that particular time. What I can say is my test run last week wasn't recorded because it didn't happen at the scheduled time. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. So like risk taking is a topic I'll probably talk about this week if I can get on the air, because the whole time, I'll give you a little preview. The whole time I was doing it, I was thinking, why am I doing this? I'm wasting everybody's time. What I have to say doesn't matter. Okay, so even someone who's been podcasting for years, blogging, doing all kinds of stuff, taking risks often with my learning, even I was trying to self-sabotage myself at that moment in time. So wow. I'm willing to talk about that and give it a go and see what happens. But like, I think we all experience stuff like that. And so that's Barba Grande. And I can talk a little bit more on the show about why I got that name, because I did talk about why I got that name, but none of that stuff got recorded. So I'll have to do it all over again.
All right, man.
Okay, well, have a great day.
That's totally cool.
Okay. I can't wait to see your sketch. It's going to be good.
So be well, travel safe, and we'll connect again next week sometime. And I look forward to whatever episode drops. I'm there. Is there a time that I can watch for it, or is it sort of still up in the air? I don't even know that.
It's up in the air right now, but what I'll do is I'd be happy to text you.
Tag me.
I'll tag you. I have a feeling Steven's going to replay it, so I'll go live and he'll record it, and I suspect he'll replay it. Anyway, it's all good. But yeah, it'll be out there.
Very cool, man.
Okay, well, have a good one.
You too. Enjoy your blank spaces. We'll chat soon.
Thanks.